guys, that's a wrap. We couldn't get her done. We're gonna have to slip the tune date again. Just kidding. Man, we got this thing buttoned up. We actually had it started for about 2 seconds. No, wait a minute, we don't wrap at the beginning of the video, but what we do at the end is talk about please subscribe and like, and I want to tell you that at the beginning because guess what? I have this many subscribers that are watching my videos all the time. Thank you guys very much for doing that. But I've got this many people that are watching the video but not subscribing. I need you guys to smash the button, take us to the next level, and enjoy this as we hit the final stretch to get this 240 KA24, oh my god, 24 KA DET.
KA24 DET.
KA24 DET, ready for the dyno. This is the final stretch, guys. Stay tuned. Alright, hey guys, what is up? It is Biff from Fearless Mods, and we are down to 1 week to go until dyno. We've crossed a lot of stuff off of the 240, but we got a little bit to go here. You saw us on the last episode finish up our downpipe. Today we are going to get the oil pan off so we can put a bung on there for oil temperature. Didn't really talk about it much last time, but we tore the dash apart so that we could check all those sensors. And the plan is to get that all put back together. And hopefully tomorrow we should be getting the piping so that we can continue putting on the hot side over to the intercooler for the turbo. And then we're pretty much done. At that point we're good to go. It's all just nice to have stuff before we hit the dyno. So this is the last video. It will be a few days long. We have 1 week till dyno. So probably going to cover everything over this next week in this one video as we do the final prep and get ready to go to the dyno. And then the fun's really going to begin. So stay tuned. Oil temperature sensor bung. Scratch off the list.
So all that's left is wiring the gauges, getting the oil pressure to actually read. I have to set up the boost gauge with the boost line, and then we're gonna have to do like the hook up catch can. We're not gonna worry about the fan controller until after the tune because we're just gonna wire it in. And install colder plugs and oil feed and drain lines. That's pretty much it. Everything else they're doing. Okay, so tonight in the rat's nest here, I'm going to be hooking up my Autometer Sport Comp 2 boost gauge. I already have, so basically for all my gauges, I have water temp, geez, these need to be fixed, oil pressure, which we're still having some trouble with getting that to read, maybe a bad sending unit or something, oil temp, which we just did with the oil pan, and then I got boost and vacuum and wideband. But we're not going to be using that wideband because I'm buying a Heltec can gauge, which will hook right into the ECU, and that'll give me more accurate readings. Basically, for the boost gauge, you might be able to see the line over there. That clear line is run from the gauge, and you have a little T-fitting here, and I'm just going to take out this T-fitting that's already on the car, and the only two vacuum hoses that I need are this one and this one right here. So I'm just going to connect the two with the T-fitting and get rid of this one, which I don't need because that ran to the old catch can, this piece of crap. So I'm just going to delete that one altogether. So on this diagram here, it says to use Teflon sealing compound on these threads here. So what I have is Loctite 592 thread sealant. It's what I've been using on all of my oil fittings, anything with pipe threads. These bugs are so annoying. And with that, I should have a working boost gauge whenever I have boost, but the only problem is this might get a little hot back here, so I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that this stays out of the way and doesn't get too hot. And I'm also going to trim it up a bit. That's a little bit too long.
Okay, we've got just a couple days left before we have to throw this thing on a trailer and take it down to Louisville. So let's get started. A couple main things I want to get going right now is the relocation of the power steering pump and the finishing of the hot side intercooler piping. Shit everywhere. So what I'm trying to figure out is, so I'm definitely going to have to extend the hoses to this, but I'm thinking this would be a good spot for this. You know, it was down around over there. Bring it up a little higher and around to this side, and maybe just tack it to the strut tower. Not a damn tool. Anywhere where it should be. Okay, I got fed up. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to clean up. So at least all the tools are put away that were all over the shop. I couldn't find anything I needed to get the job done. So tools are put away. We did just put in the dipstick. So I had to make a little bit of an S curve there. Not sure if you're going to be able to see it. But it comes up, hooks a left right there. Comes over in front of the number 1 exhaust port, and then we have the dipstick in there. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and relocate the power steering reservoir right here, and Riley's out grabbing some lines so that we can have a little extra lines to route it a little further over like that. Dude, on there, anytime you take this off, it's easy. Grind those welds off. Alright, so this thing's not going to go anywhere. Where am I? This thing's not going to go anywhere. It's on here. The only way we're going to move it is to grind these welds. I just put some self-etching primer on there. So now, got enough clearance here to put the hose on. I'll go ahead and, Riley brought some hoses from AutoZone here, so we'll go ahead and get these on there. And then the power steering will be good to go. What, you got some new clamps for the silicone rad hoses?
Yep.
You got the lower one on already? Those clamps good?
Yep.
Top one's good. So this will be all out of the way. We can start putting in the hot side intercooler piping. So we've got the power steering reservoir connected, fastened up there and hooked up. We've got the fastened the fuse box over here out of the way. We still got to mount the coil somewhere, but for now it can set out of the way. We just got to rotate this power steering line back over to this side and tighten it. Riley's putting on the alternator. He put in the O2 sensor. There we go. Alright, so I put the O2 sensor in down there and connected it up. So, and he's got the silicone rad hoses on top and bottom. I think that is about everything. We just got to get some of the wires hooked up to the sensors for temperature and pressure. Alright guys, this is it. Told you 100 times what it is that we got left to do, but it all comes down to today. This is the last full day we've got to knock out everything so that we can get this thing running, put it on a trailer tomorrow, and head down to dyno. I know what Riley's problem was now. Alright, let's see what we got. Got one that's canted on an axis like that. And then the other one that will go down to this. Looks like it would slide right down in there, I just don't know. I'm gonna cut this and hope and pray. Let's see what we've got. I think it's gonna work. Time to drill this. So the option I'm looking at right now goes like this.
That's what I was trying to do.
And then it shoots straight down. It has one coupler here and then the one in there.
So
you got 1, 2, 3, 4 couplers.
Where's the blow off gonna go?
Alright, so if you're able to see this, had the two options. One is hose that goes something like this. So with a longer pipe there, that shoots straight into it. That might be the way we end up going, because that's pretty clean and only requires 2, 3 fittings, silicone couplings to get there. It just doesn't look as nice. It's just got a little bit of aluminum here, and then of course the 90 piece that goes down there. It's a lot of couplings, places for them to blow off and pop and stuff. So that's option 1, and option 2 is more like this, with a little bit of adjusting on this. Adjust this angle here, put another straight coupler here and another straight coupler here. I'm not sure which way the best way is going to be to go, because the problem with this one is you got a lot of couplers that are on some curved edges, so even if we get them bead rolled, it's just going to be, the clamps are going to be not as good of a seal. We may have the hot side of our intercooler piping done. I've said it 100 times. We still need to do the hot side of the intercooler piping. I think we've done the hot side of the intercooler piping. The hot side of the intercooler piping now is complete, just like the cold side of the intercooler piping. That's amazing. Like I say, intercooler piping's done. Hot side now. Coming out of the turbo, heading down through a nice slot right there into the intercooler, so you can kind of get a good view of how that routes. And then the cold side, I know cold side's red and the hot side's black, but anyway, works its way up in here. So now what we're going to do before we continue on is I'm going to go ahead and pull off all that piping and rinse it with some soap and water, get all the metal shavings out of it and stuff, and then I'll go ahead and start clamping that up. We need to get a battery, and then we really just got to look at the gauges and make sure that we have all of our good indications before we go to start the engine. Alright, let's take a tour. Air intake coming up. Everything angles up to the turbo. So there's a down angle, I should say, on this inlet pipe, and there's a down angle obviously on the exhaust that's exiting. So it's because this is kind of the high point. Line up the hood for you. Right there, you can see the turbo sticking up a little bit, and where is it? And so is a little bit of that pipe. So that's about how much right there would be above. And so I have a plan for that, but right now it's going to be hoodless. This isn't the right one, but thinking that we'll put the blow off over here in this corner, and all I've got to do over here is mount the coil. Oil lines are run, everything's good to go. What we're going to do now is just check the sensors on the like oil pressure sensor, get the water, go ahead and finish getting the water temperature hooked up. This is our fan right now. We just clip it to this little thing here and it runs constantly. But we're not going to hook up the fan relay right now. We'll just let it run constant fan for now. Once we get the gauges set, we should be able to fire it up. Got the coil mounted and tucked away some of the AC lines right for now until we hook that up at a later date. Here's the MAF sensor, just kind of tucked away. Made sure all these lines were kind of tucked and zip tied here so they're free from all the belts. Reran the radiator overflow line, clean that up a little bit. Riley's back there hooking up the battery. We're about to give it a go and see if she'll run. We'd like to see some oil pressure on the gauge before we start it. I'm not going to show anybody where your kill switch is. Alright. Some things don't change. I guess it's going to run. Well, I guess it's going to run. There you go. We got our left blinker on. Generating pressure?
Something's wrong with the wiring because when I let off, it's at past 100, and then whenever I hit the...
We need to check the continuity and make sure that the wire you have is the one that goes to the gauge. Kill the gas again. Sensor's no good, I'm guessing. I was hoping we'd be able to drive it up on the trailer. That's just a lot of freaking gas going through it. You can't help that. Clean up under it and get wheels on it. Sit it down right at this moment. Oh, you okay?
I went the wrong way with it.
Did the headlight hit you? What hit you? Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Alright guys, that is going to be a wrap for this video. Man, let's go get this thing on the dyno and rip some horsepowers out the back end. You saw everything we did to a high side, cold side, downpipe, turbo, all the different sensors and stuff that we've had to tweak on it, the fuel injectors. Really, it was ready for the power to begin with, so now it's just time to go ahead and put that Haltech with it and go see what it can do. We've got the trailer, we're going to load it up. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking and subscribing, thank you for being a Fearless Mods fan, and we will catch you again next time. Take care.